Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris Man. As always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. And I'm going to entitle this video Your Sound, as an artist, as a musician. And from time to time I sit around with, some friends or family members or my fellow bandmates. And we asked ourselves these questions for each other, as you think back, who would you say is your favorite artist or your favorite band? And the top five people always come up is Earth, Wind and Fire, Rick James, Frankie Beverly and Maze. And actually, if I had to choose one, it would be Frankie Beverly and Maze. And people ask me why, because a lot of times they be thinking that I'm going to say Earth, Wind and Fire, because the majority of people that we talk to and survey, they say Earth, Wind and Fire. Earth, Wind and Fire to me is like a close second. And the reason why I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to tell you why Maze is my favorite one. I've always felt in most cases that a lot of their stuff was too crowded. A whole lot of horns going on, a whole bunch of guitar stuff, a whole bunch of harmony things being thrown at you. And they were done extremely well. But I remember when I purchased the special edition of the All in All album, and on that album it had the demo. It was called Would You Man, which turned out eventually to become Love's Holiday. And that was the very first time I could hear Maurice White without all that other stuff going on. And I said, man, that man got a beautiful voice, but I couldn't hear it because of all that other stuff going on. So that's why, they were number second, because it's like just sometimes too much stuff going on. You just can't clearly hear everything distinctively. And that's what I love about Frankie Beverly and Maze. You can hear all their stuff. I love their arrangements because, their bass sound is the keyboard. And everything to me is kind of accompanying the keyboard. And I've always been a huge keyboard player fan. I wish I was a good piano player or a piano player, because you could do so much when you're a keyboard player. You just do so much. And that's why, again, Frankie Beverly and Maze is my favorite band. I love their format. I love their sound. I love their structure of their song. Because I don't think there was no bigger Prince fan than me and my buddy Tony back in the 70s. And then around the exact same time after Purple Rain came, Purple Rain was released, his style changed. And I understand why. It was a strategy, because when you are a rock star, you make much more money than you are R&B star. Whole lot of more money. So a lot of musicians are aspiring to get to that level where they cross over successfully and make much more money. And after Purple Rain, to me, his style changed. His sound changed. It kind of went into that rock thing. And of course, I love rock too. And I was asking my buddy, I said, why do you not feel the same about him as I don't? And he said, his format style changed. Because back then, before, the dated rock stuff, or before the rock stuff, it was the R&B kind of funky new wave kind of thing he was doing, kind of a James Brown kind of a groove, and it was structured. The melody was good, the lyrical structure was good, but after Purple Rain, and Graffiti Bridge was just a nightmare to me. It's like, what is this? The movie and the soundtrack. It was a vanity project, as they would say. And ain't nothing wrong with that. If you got a little money, you want to just do what you want to do, hey, more power to you. But I listened to the last several years of his stuff, and this is not knocking Prince, so I'm not going to get into that, because when I start talking about him, people start getting mad and upset, like they were his brother. Hey, you did the Morris, man. But anyway, it just wasn't the same. I'm listening for well-structured stuff. Now, it was a song I just actually found out or heard that he released several years ago. It's called Cinnamon Girl. Great song, great rock song. The structure was great. The verses, it was just structured. But for the most part, after Graffiti Bridge, the majority of the stuff just became jam sessions. Not really tightly structured, just kind of jam sessions. It's like there's a time for that. Normally you do that when you're doing something live. But let me get off Prince, because I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just using him as an example of format and sound, because bands that I just simply love their sound. Like I said, Frankie Beverly, all that stuff is just well polished, structured, beautiful songs. All of them, all of them. The Gin Blossoms, the harmonies, the way that the two guitar players blend well reminds me of the Eagles. I think that they were big fans of the Eagles before they started, recording their stuff, because the relationship that the guitar players have is the same kind of relationship that the Gin Blossoms have, and it just sounds good. It's just woven beautifully. Van Halen. I think Van Halen was a very underrated band when it came to their writing ability. They wrote great rock songs and they arranged great rock songs. Because what's interesting in rock versus R&B, in R&B you can be an artist and you can write for other people while you're still doing your thing. R. Kelly, produced a lot of stuff for other people, Babyface, but in rock music, that's rare because normally most rock bands are self-contained. They do their own thing from band to band. So they ain't like Van Halen wrote 5 songs for these other 5 rock bands, and you can kind of hear that Van Halen sound in these bands. No, so it's kind of interesting the difference between the two. But I noticed that a long time ago that rock hasn't branched out like that, where a rock band is writing and producing for other rock bands. Every blue moon somebody might do a cover of another rock band, but they're not produced by Van Halen. Now there was actually one band, I forgot the name of it because I got a CD around here. I found it in a dollar bin almost 15, 20 years ago. Eddie Van Halen produced the album for this group, and the release off of it, the single was called Nothing to Lose, which I did a cover of. Really nice song. But as far as I listened to some of my old recordings, I said, man, I miss those days when we were all kind of not having no money and we were hungry and we were driven, and I listened to my sound then. I was like, I like what I did, and I like what I did on what I did it on, 4 to 16 track recordings. And this is long before digital computers and cutting and pasting. When you messed up, you started over and did it from beginning to the end. You didn't go back in the middle of a song and patch it in right here. Because to a decent ear, you can hear the patch. The tone is different. The feeling is different in most cases. But like I told you guys, I'm working on a new CD. And I'm still trying to find my sound again. Because I'm like, I like that sound, And the stuff that we've laid down so far is good, but it's like I'm always a perfectionist when it comes to that. I'm pushing a little harder because I want to be able to sit down and listen. Because the sign to me of when I write a good song, when I sit down and listen to it for like 20, 30 times, and during that time I'm not tired of hearing it, because I'm like, yeah, it's at the end. Let me rewrite it, because this is a sign of when you write a good song. One of the guy that became a we never co-written anything, but he used to sing on a lot of my sessions. And I brought a song to him in the studio. I said, let me know what you think of this. And I put it on. He listened to it, and as soon as he was about to go off and fading off, he said, let me hear that again. That's when you got something good, when people want to keep hearing it, But a lot of people don't think about that in terms of sound, their specific sound. Because there's some bands, they're not bad bands. It's just I just don't care for their sound. Just don't. But again, the Gin Blossoms, Frankie Beverly and Maze, Earth, Wind and Fire. Even though like I said, a lot of this stuff to me just personally sound too crowded. Just a lot of bands. Rick James, the Brothers Johnson. Just love their sound. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I just thought I would mention that because sometimes we don't think about, that's interesting, Morris, man. Yeah, I do like them for their sound, and I don't like them for their sound. And it's all about, just your preference. It's not that this is bad that you don't like. It's just that you don't have a preference for it. And then, just the opposite, you have a preference for this style of song. Because, again, I can't think of not one Frankie Beverly bass song that I said, I don't like that. I don't like the arrangement. I don't like the sound. I love everything they've done. 100% of stuff I've heard, and I'm sure just heard about everything, And when you are an artist, you want to be able to put together stuff where people like what you're doing. Not just song-wise, but audible-wise. What are the piano players doing? I love the lavish chords he's using. I love the sound that he's using, the patches. I love how the guitar players accompanied him, and it doesn't sound crowded or out of place. Because I'm gonna say this and leave this with you. When I heard Love's Holiday, which is one of my favorite, if not my favorite all-time Earth, Wind, and Fire song, I said this. And it's interesting because I said this, and then later, after listening to the demo, I said, yeah. Because when I first heard Love's Holiday, I said, there's some stuff in that song that's going on that's just, I guess they felt they had to put it in there because it's like, okay, we got a guitar player, so we got to have him do something in the song. And the layers that Al McKay or Johnny or Graham did, I don't know which one did. I think it was Al McKay. And I'm not knocking it. This is not a negative statement. It's like it's too much and it ain't necessary. It was like this guitar line. It was he overdubbed and did a harmony on top of the other guitar line. It's like it's just out of place to me. It's like it was in there because again the guitar player had something to do. But when they did the demo, which of course was before the final product, there was none of that line. It was just an acoustic guitar in the background, classical guitar or electric acoustic guitar. And I said, this is beautiful. You know, I can hear Maurice White, beautiful timbre, you know, as opposed to all that stuff crowding together and you can't hear all this other stuff, you know. But I'm going to sign off now. I just thought I'd give you my thoughts on, you know, you got to have a sound. We all have a sound. And do we like our sound? Do others like it? Till next time, take care. And as always, I thank you guys for your support and viewing my videos.